Hi, everyone, and welcome to every episode of VeggieTales Reviewed. I'm that media guy, and I'm here to answer your questions about the quality of talking Christian vegetable television. Today, we have the subject of Episode 3 Are You My Neighbor? Now, I am actually going to start off with the second segment. The Gourds must be crazy, as you can see. That title is a reference to the two new characters introduced in the segment, Jimmy and Jerry Gourd. As I stated in the last review, they are this show's version of Shaggy and Scooby being two goofballs who love food, although they don't get scared as easily as that meddling kid and his mangy mutt. In fact, they have no problem at all directly facing the deadly problem head on, but more on that in a moment. And to be honest, there really isn't anything else to the characters of Jimmy and Jerry, but there doesn't really need to be. They fit perfectly into what the segment is trying to say. Just their base personalities put them at odds with the rest of the veggie crew, but just because they are different does not mean that they do not have value, as shown when they take out the popcorn ball meteor. Yes, popcorn ball meteor. Just like how the previous episode had a Gilligan's Island spoof, this episode has a Star Trek spoof, complete with the new character of Scooter, a carrot voiced by Jim Poole, and the ship, the USS Apple Pies. Yes, that is actually what it is called, and yes, it is shaped just like America's favorite dessert. Sounds silly, right? Well, it is, but unlike the last episode, this episode does not have the silliness come at the expense of weakening the fulfilling nature of the moral. Enter I Can Be Your Friend. I am being dead serious when I say that I truly believe that this is the best song that the show has ever put out. High praise, I know, given the song that everyone is waiting for me to talk about. But not only does this song have great lyrics and an incredibly strong instrumentation, but it has a message that needs to be pushed as hard as it possibly can. You see that Bible verse over there about loving your neighbor? Leviticus 19:18 to be specific. Believe it or not, I actually heard someone use this Bible verse recently. It was when someone was disputing someone else's quote unquote factual claim that Christians don't actually do this. Which is just so blatantly wrong because that verse right there is the golden rule. It is the primary biblical statute for Christians to adhere to. Therefore, can you be a Christian if you don't? Can you be a part of a hobbyist club if you blatantly violate its golden rule? Most likely not, because it is called the golden rule for a reason. It is very important. The world is unfortunately filled with so much hate that following this rule goes a long way in making the world a better place. And to see a message that strong in a segment this strong gives me positive vibes that are very strong. But that is not where it ends. We have two other bits to talk about, and the first is the hairbrush song. If someone knows anything about this show, it is this music number. It is the most popular video on the VeggieTales YouTube channel with over 20 million views. It was voted the number one silly song for the Ultimate Silly Song Countdown. It was played during one of my college swim practices. And keep in mind, I swam in college between 2017 and 2019, and his song came from a Talking Vegetables cartoon that came out in 1995. After not getting a silly song in the previous episode, the popularity of this one made silly songs a mainstay for the series. Clearly, it must be the best one, right? Well, not for me. This is clearly just a matter of opinion, as I still believe it to be a song that has earned its classic signature status, but this song is just not entirely clicked for me. Maybe it's because the choruses are a bit repetitive to me, but there are silly songs in the future that I do enjoy more, even if this one is still unbelievably solid in its own right. Oh, and the Peach is VeggieTales MVP, he is that amazing. Although, it is odd that between the peach, the grapes from the last episode, and the forgotten pear from the first episode, the VeggieTales cast is looking a bit fruity at this point, don't you think? Maybe it's because kids like fruits more than vegetables? There's nothing wrong with that, but veggies are good for you too. So if you're a kid watching this, maybe grab a celery stick and munch on that as I move on to the last segment, which in this case is the first segment. Yes, I have one thing left to review, and that is the story of Flibber O' Loo. Big Idea adapts a Bible story again. This time, it's the parable of the Good Samaritan. In it, the three scallions do quite a number on our very good friend, Larry the Cucumber. Stuck in a hole, he's soon to be dead until someone comes by with a shoe on his head? Sounds really quite weird, but according to Phil, it's apparently a thing that happens in Brazil. But this veggie is the mayor of Flibberoloo, wearing a shoe on his head as all his subjects do. And that includes Larry, much to his glee, and thus he cries out, "Won't you please help me?" But the mayor says no, as he claims to be busy, despite idling on the road, which is painful to see. And the Flibian doctor, who soon strolls by, declines to help, and it makes me want to cry. Junior soon comes by, but he's from Gibberty Lot, and while I love Larry, those folks really do not, for lying on their heads is nothing but pot. But believe it or not, much to Larry's joy, he was to be saved by the 5-year-old boy. The kid is a hero, but the grown-ups are jerks. But the story as a whole, aw, it really works. The songs are delightful, the humor is fun, it's one of the best things Phil has ever done. We all should put this tale to very good use, changing the world in the style of Dr. Seuss. The perfect story to witness right before bed is the one of the child, asparagus, pothead. And that, my friends, is episode 3, and it just fills me with so much glee, and that's enough rhyming for me. For now, anyway. But yeah, in case I haven't made it clear yet, this is easily the best episode of the show that we have covered so far. But I would go as far as to say that this is the best episode of the show that I have ever seen. Granted, I haven't seen all of them, so who knows what the future will bring, but it is going to be very hard to top this. The stories are so charming, containing everything from lovable new characters to an endearing Seussian style. The message is one that is extremely powerful for our current social climate. The songs in both stories are two of the absolute best in the entire series, and the silly song, well, that has spoken for itself over the past 28 years. Obviously, this episode is certified fresh, no doubt about it. As the last episode to feature two main stories for a while, they absolutely went out with a bang. So now, let's see what the crew at Big Idea can do with one story that fills 30 minutes of Sunday morning values and Saturday morning fun. This has been the third episode of every episode of VeggieTales Reviewed, where my goal is to review the entirety of the series designated to let everyone know that God made them special and he loves them very much. Tune in next time to hear me talk about episode 4. Rack, Shack, and Benny. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Click the red button to subscribe and have a fantastic rest of your day doing whatever.